Pete Prisco and Bryant McFadden are out there at Vikings camp. Pete, where are the Vikings right now? We've seen 2 preseason games, but we haven't seen much from the team, haven't seen anything from Kirk Cousins, who has not played in either game.
It's hard to evaluate him because based on preseason, but when it's all about practice. We get too caught up in the preseason numbers and who's doing what in the preseason. It's about practice, and the reports are they've been very good in practice. And this is going to be an explosive offense. I think Kirk Cousins, at times, I've been very critical of him. I think he has to prove to people he can win in the big moments and make the plays in the big moments. He hasn't always done that, but he's going to put up monster numbers in this offense with Kevin OConnell. This is a different team. I've known Mike Zimmer for years. Mike Zimmer is rigid. Mike Zimmer can wear on people, and I think it got a little stale around here. Mm-hmm. So I think it's a good thing that they made the change, and they get a young offensive mind in here.
Yeah, for the Vikings right now, they finally got that new iPhone update. You talked about having Coach Zimmer here for such a long time. They were kind of very, very generic, especially on the offensive side of things. Didn't do things that other offenses were doing in the National Football League. And in comes Kevin OConnell, and they got a new update. And with that being said, I'm right there with you, Pete. I think this offense will be very, very explosive. They will be very, very entertaining. Kirk Cousins did some real good things last year. They just couldn't finish the deal. They lost so many games late in the fourth quarters a year ago, and that kind of put an emphasis on what's going on. But Kirk Cousins did pretty well when you look at his individual numbers. Now, fast forward to this season with what they have already in place offensively, the skill guys. One of the best wide receivers in the game, a reliable number 2, an up-and-coming number 3 in KJ Osborne. If Irv Smith Jr. is healthy, he's a reliable pass catcher at the tight end spot and one of the best running backs in the game. They just got to keep the offensive line healthy. But everything is in place for Captain Kirk to put on his cape and do what he's been called to do.
We know Pete Prisco as a Kirk Cousins hater. He walks around here in South Florida and says whatever the hell he wants about Cousins. B-Mac, does he kind of tone that down a bit when Kirk Cousins might be within shouting distance there in Minnesota?
Well, Chris, he hasn't quite toned it down just yet, but Kirk is not out here. And it's my job to find a way to get Kirk Cousins and Pete Prisco together so we can figure out what is what with this guy. Because, yes, you're right. He's been very, very critical of Captain Kirk. But let's see if he will be critical of Captain Kirk if we can get Kirk Cousins right here.
I tell him, you got to make plays at a big moment, buddy, before anybody gives you the credit you deserve. He puts up big numbers. Nobody's going to argue that. And, oh, by the way, you guys are doing a podcast with one of his teammates, and I didn't see him on the request for him to come over and be part of the interview process.
We're going to change that. We're going to get that.
One of his teammates didn't ask for him on the interview process.
We're going to change that, Chris. We're going to try to make that happen.
You throw me under the bus, I can throw everybody else right under.
Yeah, I want to see Pete talk to Kirk Cousins and call him buddy and see how that goes. Hey, you mentioned the new head coach, Kevin OConnell, and what he can do with the weapons on this offense. B-Mac, what specifically do you think we're going to see from OConnell as he tunes up this offense?
A lot of misdirection. When you look at what the Rams have been doing for such a long time, the play action has been huge for their success on the offensive side of things. And when you have a guy like Dalvin Cook, who's already a guy you want to highlight as a defender when you're playing against Minnesota, that play action could be a very, very, very deadly asset to what they can do. And then when you get guys in space like Justin Jefferson, KJ Osborne, Adam Thielen, along with that play action, man, Matthew Stafford benefited a lot from the play action passes. When you look at some of the outstanding quarterbacks who do numbers, Tom Brady, Matthew Stafford, guys like that, they utilize the play action as their best friend. So that's something that I expect to see a lot with a Kevin OConnell-led offense. Play action has to be their best friend.
But you remember when Matt Stafford came, they evolved that offense a little bit because that wasn't what he did well, and so they evolved. So I think this offense will be more of a hybrid. I think because Kirk Cousins can move a little bit and throw on the run. He's done it in the past, but I think there's going to be more chunk plays down the field from the pocket with Kevin OConnell in this offense. And the guys have been raving about it all summer about how many big plays are getting down the field in the passing game. That's why Jefferson is going to have a monster year this year.
All Things Covered is going to have a live podcast today, 5:30 Eastern time.
But not with Kirk Cousins.
Not as of now. Patrick Peterson and B-Mac going to be together in Minnesota. Peterson entering his second season with the Vikings. And as of now on the request list, no Kirk Cousins, but B-Mac says he might change that.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.